Life is cray. You know it, I know it. Nobody gave us a manual for any of it. But here we are figuring it out together. I'm Cate, and this is Life's Just Cray, a podcast where we talk through all the stuff that has you up until 2 a.m., talking with your bestie or mom like, okay, but what would you do though? Real situations, real talk, no fluff. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear, but I'm going to tell you what you probably already know and just needed someone to say out loud. Now, real quick, before we get into this, I am not a therapist, I am not a professional, and I'm not here to tell you what to do. Everything I say comes from my own personal experience and my own perspective. My grandma always told me, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And that's how I move in life, and that's how I move on the show. I'm going to give you something to think about and push you in the direction that I may think is the right one. But what you do with it is up to you. Now, before I get into this, the voices you're going to hear reading these situations are AI generated, and all the names will be changed for confidentiality purposes. Okay, let's get started. Today, we're going back into friendships, but this scenario is completely different from the last.
I have been friends with this group of 6 people for almost 5 years. We met through a mutual hobby, and over time it turned into something real. We celebrated birthdays together, spent holidays together, showed up for each other through breakups, job losses, family stuff, the kind of friendships where you just assumed they would always be there. I never questioned it. About 2 weeks ago, I noticed the group chat had gone unusually quiet. We normally talk every day, memes, check-ins, random life updates, but it had been crickets, and I figured everyone was just busy. Life gets like that sometimes, and I didn't want to be the one making it a whole thing. Then, last week, one of them, Jade, texted me separately, asking if I was excited about the trip. I remember staring at my phone, trying to figure out what she was talking about. I asked her what trip, and she went silent for what felt like a long time before responding. Turns out the whole group has been planning a girls' trip for the past month. There is an entirely separate group chat that I was never added to. Hotels are already booked. Flights are being finalized. They have an itinerary. A whole month, and not one person thought to add me or even mention it to me. When I finally got the courage to bring it up to another person in the group, she said it just kind of came together organically and that they assumed I would be too busy to come anyway because I have a lot going on with work right now. Nobody asked me. Nobody checked. They just decided for me that I wouldn't be interested and left me out entirely. Here's what's making this so hard to process. These are not brand new friends. 5 years. I have been there for every single one of them in some capacity. I helped one of them move. I sat in a hospital waiting room with another one. I have shown up consistently and without question for this group. And now I am finding out through a text that was clearly meant to be a casual check-in that I am apparently not as much a part of this group as I thought I was. Jade felt so bad about it that she has barely responded to me since, which honestly makes it worse. Her guilt is telling me that this wasn't just an oversight. I don't know if I am being pushed out slowly or if this was genuinely a careless mistake that nobody thought through. But I cannot stop thinking about the fact that 6 people who I believed were my friends spent an entire month planning something and not one of them picked up the phone. Do I bring it up to the whole group or do I just quietly start pulling back and protect myself?
I'm going to start with this because I think it needs to be said first. Quietly pulling back and distancing yourself from the group isn't going to solve anything. I know it feels like the safe move, and I know when you're hurting, the instinct is to protect yourself by creating space. But all that quietly pulling back actually does in this situation is remove you from the group without anyone having to answer for what happened. You became the one who disappeared, and they get to keep going like nothing even occurred. And that's not resolution. That's isolation. And you deserve better than that. Now, let me say something about Jade, because I think this is the most telling part of the whole situation. Jade is the one who reached out to you, assuming you already knew about the trip. The moment she realized you had no idea, she went completely quiet. Think about that. She didn't try to explain it. She didn't say, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you weren't added. Let me find out what happened." She went silent. And that silence is information. That's not the reaction of someone who genuinely believes that it was an innocent oversight. That's the reaction of someone who knows exactly what happened and does not know what to say now that she opened her mouth. And here's the hard truth of what that tells you. That this group chat that got created in a rush and someone forgot to add you? No. This was a month of planning, hotels booked, flights looked at, an itinerary put together over the course of an entire month, and not one person in the group of 6 stopped and said, "Wait, where is she?" Not one person picked up the phone, and you were left out intentionally. Or at the very least, no one cared to notice that you were missing. And after 5 years, that says something about your friendship. But here's what I want you to hold on to. It's only been 5 years, and I know that feels like a long time. 5 years of birthdays, holidays, or showing up for each other feels like something worth fighting for. But be grateful, and genuinely grateful, that you're finding this out now instead of 10, 15 years down the line, when you could have given so much more of yourself to people who were never really in your corner in the first place. My advice to you is don't pull back quietly, and don't blow it up either. The next time you're all together in the same place, give it one last honest shot. And let them know calmly and directly what happened. That you know about the trip and the group chat and that you weren't included. And then watch what happens next. Because how people respond when they've been caught tells you absolutely everything you need to know about who they actually are. Do they scramble and try to make you feel better and fall over themselves with explanations? Or do they own it and give you an actual reason? That reaction is your answer. And whatever it is, you'll know exactly where you stand and exactly what to do next when they do. And that's a wrap on today's episode of Life's Just Cray, because life doesn't wait, and neither do we. If you're not already following, make sure you hit that follow button wherever you listen to your podcasts, and leave us a comment on your thoughts. It helps more people find the show, and trust me, they need to be here. Now, here's what I need from you. Slide into my DMs on Instagram or TikTok and let me know a common situation that you want my advice on, whether it be real life situation or hypothetical. Send it my way in writing, and you might just hear it on the next episode. And remember, just because I've said this advice doesn't mean that you have to take it. You're the maker of your own decisions, but you must be willing to deal with consequences of your actions if there's any. Have a good one.